What is happening, fishers? Dinya from Untraceable Fishing here tonight, once again with
Jared from Bulamoya Fishing Tackle.
and welcome to
Tackle Tuesdays.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for everyone else watching, big thank you to everyone that is watching this program. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It takes you 2 seconds of your time. Check out the member link and don't forget to leave a comment so I can get back to you all as soon as possible. Jared, we're going to have a look in the world of clone lures. I think if you haven't been hiding under a rock somewhere, you'll definitely know clone lures. I think most of the anglers in South Africa have either thrown a clone, they've heard the name, a very, very popular lure.
Yeah.
Clone came along and they brought out their one of their first lures, which they called the Trident. It came in 2 different sizes, a 90 and a 140. But they've just updated their arsenal now with what they call the Apex 140. Okay, slightly different lures. They're both stick baits. Obviously, the Trident being a longer, thinner, longer profile, more designed for distance casting and things like that.
More for the surf-based guys, with the occasional guy still using them off the boat.
100%. And being a slimmer profile, the Trident is a lure that you have to create your own action in.
Yes.
It's not simply a lure that can just be reeled along.
Yeah.
You either need to pull and sweep it, pop and pause, or drag it along the bottom.
Yes.
So it is a lure that takes a bit of work. You have to impose an action into this sort of stick bait.
Yeah.
Brilliant lure. Caught many fish myself, and a lot of guys around the country have caught some good fish on this.
Yeah.
So fantastic looking lure. So check out the Trident, the 90. It comes in a 1.5 and a 2 ounce. And I think the 140 comes in a
From a 1.5, I believe, right up to a 3 ounce.
So I think it comes in 3 different weight categories, guys. Brilliant lures and come in a huge variety of colors. Nice carantine stripy imitation. There's another one there they call the sardine, which looks just like a sardine. Believe it or not, that's like a pink tiger, pink mackerel they're calling it. So they come in a crazy amount of different colors. But the guys at Clone have listened to the anglers, and they've created a new stick bait. It's called the Apex 140. The beautiful lure in front of us over there. It's available currently in 2 different weight classes. 2.5 ounces, which equates to about 70 grams, and then a 3.5 ounce, which is about 100 grams. And we've just been told earlier today that there will be a 4.5 ounce coming out as well, which is about 127 grams. So Apex 140, slightly different profile there, bit of a wider body as you can see there. So hence wider body is not going to cast as far as the clone, the Tridents do, but it does get some good distance. We took a couple of these up to Mazeppa Bay, I don't know, it was about 4 or 5 weeks ago. The guys from a Clone hand delivered us some, took them up to Mazeppa Bay, and they fish fantastically well, and they actually cast like a bullet for such a wide body lure, very nicely weighted. Now when it comes to 140, Jared, so we've got three different weights. We've got a 2.5, a 3.5, and a 4.5. Can you maybe jump in and explain to us why you'd have different weights?
So that would, in my opinion, cater towards sort of the facet of fishing that you're going to use them for.
100%.
So the 2.5, the smaller weight of the lot, just to show you one color options, that's a 2.5. So that, I would say, is more recommended for the shore-based anglers. The guys, as Dean said, maybe fishing your long beaches or fishing off structure, maybe higher cliffs. So your general shore-based angling. And then the 3.5, I'll just grab one here. Obviously a little bit more weighted, so it's going to sink a bit faster. So the 3.5 is almost more catered towards the guys that are going to be using them off the boat with your shorter rods, your stick bait rods, your lighter rods. So that would be more boat orientated. The guys targeting tuna, carp, all your predatory pelagic fish. And then if you travel and you go around the world, they will still have applications on deeper water spots.
Correct. And obviously the 4.5 coming out, just a even heavier version, especially the guys that are fishing maybe a bit of deeper water. Or I can even see the 4.5 being a nice one to use off the surf. On a throw a bit of span in the works.
Yeah.
If you've got a very far bank and you're fishing some shallow water, you might want to pull that through the sand for a cob or something like that.
Targeting bigger cob on areas you can't get to. Or I think spots as well with more current.
Yes, yeah. So you want that extra weight so your lure doesn't wash out and things like that.
Yes.
There's the guys that are chasing GTs on heavy current and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a wide body lure. It is a 140, so it's not massive. So this will be a fantastic lure. I think South African wise, Garrick Learfish are going to be your one of the number one species in this.
Definitely.
I was fortunate enough to catch one on Mazeppa Bay. I don't know if Andrew can maybe find that photo somewhere. We'll see if we can get it in. So they do work. Yellowtail, I think, will be another fantastic species to catch on these. And obviously, all your pelagics offshore.
Your mackerel,
your mackerel, your bigger bonnies, your tuna species. I think a sailfish would knock this without any question of a doubt. So check out these new clone lures, Apex 140. As I said, they come in 3 different weights. I found myself, I fished the 2.5 and the 3.5 when I was down there. I preferred the 2.5. First reason being I was fishing 11-foot rod, graded to 1 to 3 ounce. I found the 3.5 ounce a bit heavy for
your application and the rod you were using.
The rod I was using. The 2.5, obviously, it's more of what you call a slow sinking stick bait or a surface stick bait. The nice thing about these stick baits is the 2.5, I could throw out 2 pops of the reel and the lure would pop straight onto the surface. And I could just really mean he was making a beautiful bubble trail.
Okay.
That's one thing I found about it. Simple, easy, effective cast, no rocket science, nice slow reel, making sure you're not reeling too quickly that your lure pops out the water. Beautiful bubble trail. Second way I like to fish it, I'd throw it out, count down 2 seconds. You'd probably in those 2 seconds probably sink in between 60 and 90 centimeters down. Nice full sweep of the rod. You'd pop up just subsurface, drop about 10 centimeters off the top of the surface. Sometimes the back would break the surface and then sink down again.
Okay.
Another aspect I found fantastic about this thing is if you just cast them out, let them land on their sink. They stayed extremely horizontal. The 2.5 stayed perfectly horizontal. And got itself a nice natural wobble down. So you could pretty much twitch it up to the surface, pull it up to the surface, and it would flutter down perfectly like that, down to, I'd say about 1 meter, and then it would start a bit of a different sink. So the 2.5 as a subsurface or surface stick bait, fantastic. The 3.5, I didn't quite have the right rod for it. I had to fish the 3.5 a little bit faster because it'd been a bit of a weighted lure.
You don't want to hook up too much in the structure.
Snagging a bit there. It was a bit of shallow water we were fishing. So I think maybe the 3.5, you start looking at your stiffer 10-foot rods and things like that, opposed to a softer 11-foot. Also, a big thing that comes into play, guys, is the action of your rod. A stick bait, you do not want an extremely fast action rod. So your extremely fast action rod, once the rod's under tension, it's obviously going to snap back into place a lot quicker than a slow action rod. And you don't want too much of a stick bait rod. You want that rod to keep that bit of tension there the whole time. You don't want the rod flicking it back like that, irritating your pools and things like that of the lure, as what a popping rod does. The popping rod, you want that nice,
direct action,
super fast taper. So the rod I was fishing probably was a bit soft for the 3.5 ounce. There was just a bit too much pull in the rod the whole time, and I was losing a bit of action on the rod. But I don't think it was that vital. But I would have preferred a different rod for the 3.5 ounce there specifically. So I think for the guys off the rocks, the 2.5 ounce is perfect in South African conditions. Unless you're going abroad, you're targeting big GTs, as Jared mentioned earlier, where the currents come into effect, then start looking at the 3.5 and 4.5 ounces. Also, not a lot of our 11-foot, what we call drop shot rods, or our 11-foot spinning rods, cater for 4.5 ounces and stuff like that. They're normally catering up to about 3 ounce, sometimes in a 4 ounce. So, available in some crazy colors. Let's just run through some of these colors here, Jared. So, I think my favorite, I wasn't lucky enough to get one of these, but what they call Black Knight. Absolutely fantastic color, guys. Especially for your, I think, early morning sessions when the light's very, very low. You like that nice dark lure to stick out against like a silhouette, dark background, dark lure. I know it sounds a bit weird, but the sun hasn't really come up yet, so there are no colors available for the fish to actually see. So you're going to want a darker lure, a darker background. What's one of your other favorites here, Jared?
Look, I would probably say for the guys targeting the game fish off the boats.
Obviously a nice natural finish.
A natural finish. Always a mackerel color is always a good popular 100%. Option. And I think personally myself, if I had to take 1 or 2 of these to target cobs specifically, I would still go the old faithful redhead.
The redhead, especially on the Eastern Cape. You never go wrong.
The redhead's always a popular color for the Eastern Cape. I wouldn't mind taking this and throwing this in the surf with a slow action.
Get him into the sand, let him tear the bottom up a bit.
I think the redhead will be a very popular color locally. But as Dean said, there's a wide variety of color options to suit the area you're fishing and to suit what you want to throw.
So now Jared was saying thrown into the surf, it makes me a bit excited. There I might start looking at that 3.5 or 4 ounce lure. I might not throw him on my little 11-foot. I might put him on a normal conventional, maybe a 13 foot or 14 foot and
Yeah.
4.5 ounce, and then you're getting 100, 140 meters on that lure
Yeah.
quite comfortably. So I've just taken one out the packaging. Fantastic looking lures. The one thing, like if you go down to Australia, New Zealand, the guys fishing in Saudi and stuff like that, stick baiting is big there, guys. They're either throwing stick baits or they're throwing surface poppers. In South Africa, there's not a lot of stick baiting done. Yes, there are guys that have been doing stick baiting for years. There are some phenomenal stick bait fishermen out there.
Yeah.
They haven't really spoken about it too much, but I think stick baiting is starting to take off, especially for the game fish side of it. And the one thing I do really enjoy about clone lures is the affordability. Before, if I wanted to go out and buy myself a stick bait, I was looking at
Anywhere from 400 rand upwards to about 700-800 rand.
the imported ones you're looking at it.
Oh yeah,
$2,000. If you look, I'm not going to mention the names. If you're looking at some of the better stick baits in the world, you're looking up to $200. You're looking at like 4,000 rand on a lure, which I cannot afford to snap up on the rocks. I can't even afford to buy the lure. So Clone have come and made a fantastic lure. You can get them in this beautiful profile, and the nice thing, not very expensive, especially the style of fishing I do. We're not fortunate enough to be able to fish these ledge drop-offs where you're just throwing into clean water and reeling back into clean water.
Yeah, we got a lot of structure that we're fishing in.
I'm definitely pulling my lure over 20 or 30 meters of structure each time, and I'm banging my lures up. They're getting hooked up in rock bait. I'm losing a lure now and again.
Yes.
So a bad cast and my lure hits the rock, gets a bit of a dent. These lures are extremely hard. I only took a bit of paint off my lures. I hit the rocks. I missed my spot about once or twice. I was throwing next to some bommies there. Took a bit of paint off, but there was no cracks or anything on the lure, which I quite like. I actually broke one of my surface plugs hitting a rock. So it just shows you. So fantastically well built. And what I like is about the terminal tackle they come with. They come with mustard, I think it's Kaiju, if you pronounce it correctly. Phenomenal hook, guys. The hooks on this lure alone probably equate to about a third of the price of this lure. So check these lures out. They are available on the Bullmore website. Have a look at them. Check your favorite color out, guys. I definitely, if I was you, go grab 2 or 3 different colors of the 2.5 ounce, especially for the guys. Summer is coming up. The Garrick should be wild this year, and definitely give them a try. So moving on, we're just going to throw in something a little bit extra there. So it's not just lures. Now, some of the guys have never thrown lures before. I know this might be a bit boring for some of you out there that have been fishing lures for years. You might know a lot more about lure fishing than I actually even do. So what sort of rods are we looking at? So Jared, we're going to start with, we're going to go back to the Trident. So we don't have the rods here. So Trident, obviously, it's a little 1.5 and 2 ounce, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So you're probably going to be looking at your little 9-foot spinning rods, your 10-foot spinning rods for these.
Yeah, for the 90 size profile.
For the 90 size profile.
Yes,
So it's a beautiful little lure you can use in the rivers. So I think maybe fishing 15, anywhere up to 15, 30 pound braid.
Yes.
On a nice little 4,000 to 6,000 size spinning reel for your little Trident 90.
Yes.
Then we're going to move on to the Trident 140, a bit of a bigger profile lures. I think, you're looking at your 10, 11-foot drop shot style rods.
Yes.
Fishing 20, 30, even 40 pound braid, depending on your target species. And then also maybe a 5,000 or 6,000 size reel, I think will be quite suitable there.
Definitely.
Now, when it comes to the Apex 140, yes, it's the same length as a Trident, but it's a bit of a bigger profile lure. You're definitely going to attract some bigger fish with this lure, I can promise you that.
Yeah.
Definitely going to pull the bigger fish out the bunch, having a bigger profile. So the 2.5 ounce fished beautifully. I fished it on a Assassin Affinity, 1 to 3 ounce, 11-foot, and a little Shimano Twin Power, 5,000. The 2.5 ounce on 20 pound braid fished phenomenally on it.
Okay.
Phenomenally on it. The 3.5 ounce, I was pushing the rod just a bit further than it should be pushed. But then I think if you had to maybe step up to the 2 to 4 ounce Affinity, you'd be fine on that.
Yes.
So that takes care of like everyday targeting a Garrick or targeting a nice big shad from the things like that.
Yes.
But where we're going to pull this into is like, these are predominantly designed for pelagic game fish.
Yeah.
Okay, so now there's different aspects you're going to target. So you're either going to be boat orientated, offshore, inshore, whichever way you want to call it. So then you start looking at shorter rods. So I'm going to hand the rod over to Jared. And a little reel combination we got here. He's going to run you through it quickly.
So the rod and reel that we've chosen here, the rod, speaking about that first, is the Assassin Tail Hunter. It is a 8-foot rod in a heavy action. So PE 2 to 4, and it's rated 1 to 5 ounce. So something like this will be perfectly suited to throw the 3.5, and when they come in the 4.5 size. And then we've paired it with the Shimano Saragossa 14,000, the XG. These Gosa 14s are really good for for the boat angling aspects, the guys that are going to be targeting tuna, your bigger mackerel species, all your bigger pelagics.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to jump in there, Jared. So like a lot of guys saying, why 14,000? Isn't that a bit too big? I was going to do this comparison here. So I have a 10,000 with me. Side on view of the camera, you're not going to be able to see a difference. It's the exact same body, exact same handle. The only thing that's changing on these reels is the gear ratios and the diameter of the spool. So makes perfect sense to go for a 14,000. First of all, gear ratio. Stick baits, surface plays, you want to be able to, that's fun. You want to be able to pick up as much slack line as possible between your sweeps or between your pops.
Yeah.
So when you're sweeping, you're getting all that slack line, you want to be in 100% or 99% and 100% of the time, you want to be in direct contact with that lure. So if you do get a take, you can put pressure on that fish straight away. So and also stops your line hooking up in the hooks of the lure and things like that. So the 14,000 being the XG just has a superior gear ratio. So we're looking at, I think, 6.2 to 1 if we didn't miss.
Yes.
6.2 to 1 opposed to the 10,000 at 4.9 to 1. So just lets you pick up that slack line a lot quicker in between those pulls and pops. That's why offshore and land-based stick baiting or popping, 14,000 is definitely the way to go. So check out a 14,000. If you are this, yes, you could probably go a bit lighter off the boat, maybe down to 8,000 size. Like there's not much weight difference between 8 and 14,000. You're looking at a couple of grams. I'd rather punch up to a 14,000. You can comfortably run 300 meters of PE5 or PE6 braid. I don't want to be caught pulling one of these in the wrong place and I get a 20 or 30 kilo GT coming up and smacking it, because they will. The profile is more than big enough for that. And I'm sitting with on an 8,000 or 300 meters of PE2 or PE3. You're not going to get that fish is going to, you toast. So you want that PE5 or PE6 where you want the bigger reel. Then not everyone's fortunate enough to fish with a boat. So now this is one of the things in South Africa that we are a bit behind on when it comes to lure fishing. We're still fishing our beautiful 11 foots with smaller profile lures and things like that. But I think we are learning from the guys in Australia and New Zealand. So my next venture in life, I know, is to get myself a nice 10 foot, like I've got on the right hand side of me here, and start like shore-based, start targeting some pelagic style fishing shore-based. We don't have that many areas to do it, but there's awesome beautiful areas in the Transkei, and of course on the KwaZulu-Natal coast where we can, and Cape Town side for those awesome Cape Townian yellowtails they got there. So then we're looking at sorry, I'm going to try to break the rod. I know Nobi's got this awesome rod. Tell us a little bit about it, Jared.
So this is the Nobi Legend 2. It is a 10-foot rod. It's a 2-piece. It is a PE 3 to 6, and it's a 40 to 140 gram, as Dean and I have said. And I'm going to go out of frame here quickly, just to give it a little bit of a pull. Let's see if we can get it right.
Why don't you come in frame and let me come out of frame?
Let's go like that. Give it a little bit of a pull there, Dean. So as Dean's saying, it's got that perfect softer action and a slower action to be able to work the stick baits better than some of your shorter rods or your stiffer rods in the market. I mean, you look at the guys, I think, going a little bit on the topic, but off the topic. Look at the guys in KZN this year. Those guys have been very fortunate and blessed to be getting a lot more game fish on the coast
they got some
than
beautiful
normal.
Fish.
So, I mean, the sardine run this year wasn't too much orientated on the sharks. I saw a lot of big GTs.
Big trevallies.
Some big kuta. Big kuta, big prodigal sons or cobias. So this sort of lure will be perfect for that application.
So I think keep that in mind, guys. Sardine season is on its way, and the summer months where all the pelagic should be wild. See, I know last year December we had a
lot of Dorado,
and I think this will be a smashing lure for a Dorado. The profile's perfect. The 140 profile's perfect size for Dorado. So I think the offshore guys should definitely get your hands on them. They are in stock now. Anyway, so I think thanks for joining us. Before we talk everyone's ears off, definitely run out and get yourself a couple of these. New clone Apex 140 available in 2.5 and 3.5, and shortly to be available in 4.5 ounces. Anyway, so from Dean from More Fishing Tackle and Untraceable Fishing,
and Jared from More Fishing Tackle.
Cheers.